Donald John Trump, a name synonymous with wealth, opulence, and controversy, ascended to the highest office in the United States with an unconventional background. Born in Queens, New York, in 1946, Trump's life has been a captivating tale of ambition, risk-taking, and an unyielding pursuit of success. From his early days in real estate to his foray into the entertainment industry and ultimately his shocking victory in the 2016 presidential election, Trump's journey has been nothing short of extraordinary. Trump's story is one that has captivated the world, both for his admirers and his detractors. His supporters view him as a self-made billionaire, a master negotiator and a champion of the working class. His critics, on the other hand, see him as a divisive figure, a demagogue who has stoked fear and anger to achieve his political ambitions. Regardless of one's political stance, there is no denying that Donald Trump's rise to power is a uniquely American story, one that reflects the complexities and contradictions of the nation he led. His journey to the White House was improbable, defying all expectations and shattering political norms. A political novice with no prior experience in elected office, Trump challenged the established political order and tapped into a deep vein of discontent among a segment of the American populace. His campaign, fueled by fiery rhetoric, promises of economic revitalization, and a pledge to make America great again, resonated with millions who felt left behind by globalization and ignored by the political elite. Born into a wealthy family in the Jamaica Estates neighborhood of Queens, New York, Donald Trump was the fourth of 5 children. His early years were spent in a large, stately home that reflected the affluence of his family. The Jamaica Estates neighborhood, known for its tree-lined streets and spacious homes, was a far cry from the bustling, crowded areas of New York City. It was a place where the young Donald could play and explore, surrounded by the comforts of wealth and privilege. The Trump family was close-knit, with Donald's siblings playing significant roles in his life. His older brother, Fred Jr., was initially expected to take over the family business, but his untimely death left a void that Donald would eventually fill. His sisters, Marianne and Elizabeth, and his younger brother, Robert, also had their own paths. But it was Donald who would rise to prominence. His father, Fred Trump, was a successful real estate developer who specialized in building and operating middle-class housing in the boroughs of New York City. Fred Trump was a formidable figure, known for his work ethic and business acumen. He built a real estate empire from the ground up, focusing on affordable housing for the middle class. His developments were characterized by their quality and affordability, making him a respected name in the industry. Growing up, Donald witnessed firsthand the intricacies of the real estate business, observing his father's keen business acumen and developing a passion for deal-making. He would often accompany his father to construction sites, watching as buildings rose from the ground and learning the importance of attention to detail and strategic planning. These experiences were invaluable, providing him with a practical education that would serve him well in his future endeavors. Recognizing his son's ambition and drive, Fred Trump provided Donald with opportunities to learn the family business. He was a demanding mentor, expecting nothing less than excellence from his son. Donald was given responsibilities that tested his abilities and pushed him to grow. He learned about financing, construction, and the complexities of the real estate market, gaining a comprehensive understanding of the industry. As a teenager, Donald would accompany his father to construction sites, absorbing the nuances of real estate development and cultivating relationships with contractors, architects, and city officials. These interactions were crucial as they taught him the importance of building a network and maintaining good relationships with key stakeholders. He learned to negotiate, to persuade, and to close deals, skills that would become his trademarks in the years to come. These early experiences instilled in Donald a strong work ethic, a belief in his own abilities, and a relentless pursuit of success that would come to define his life. He was determined to make a name for himself, to step out of his father's shadow and create his own legacy. This drive was evident in everything he did, from his schoolwork to his early business ventures. Despite his privileged upbringing, Trump's early life was not without its challenges. His parents, recognizing his energetic and sometimes unruly nature, sent him to the New York Military Academy at the age of 13. This decision was made in the hopes that the structured environment would help channel his energy and instill discipline. At the military school, Trump excelled in both academics and athletics, developing discipline, leadership qualities, and a competitive spirit that would serve him well in his later endeavors. The academy was a turning point in his life, providing him with the structure and discipline he needed to thrive. He became a star athlete, excelling in baseball and football, and was known for his leadership skills and determination. The rigorous training and strict regimen of the military academy helped shape Trump's character, teaching him the value of hard work, perseverance, and strategic thinking. He learned to lead by example, to motivate others, and to stay focused on his goals. These lessons would prove invaluable as he embarked on his career in real estate and beyond. After graduating from the New York Military Academy in 1964, Trump enrolled at Fordham University in the Bronx. His time at Fordham was brief, but it provided him with a solid foundation in liberal arts and business studies. He was eager to learn, always looking for ways to apply his knowledge to real-world situations. However, he soon transferred to the Wharton School of the University of Pennsylvania, his father's alma mater, where he studied economics. The Wharton School was renowned for its rigorous curriculum and emphasis on practical business skills. Trump thrived in this environment, soaking up knowledge and honing his analytical abilities. While at Wharton, Trump continued to hone his business skills, working summers at the Trump Organization and developing a reputation as a shrewd and ambitious young man. He was involved in various projects, learning the ropes and gaining hands-on experience. His time at Wharton and his work at the Trump Organization laid the groundwork for his future success, providing him with the knowledge, skills, and confidence to take on the competitive world of real estate. After graduating from Wharton in 1968 with a degree in economics, Donald Trump was ready to step into the world of business. His time at Wharton had not only equipped him with the theoretical knowledge of economics, but also instilled in him a keen sense of ambition and a desire to make a significant impact. The young Trump was known for his confidence and determination, traits that would soon become his trademarks in the business world. Donald Trump officially joined his father's company, the Trump Organization. The company, founded by his father, Fred Trump, was already a well-established player in the New York real estate market, primarily focusing on middle-class rental housing in Brooklyn, Queens, and Staten Island. However, Donald had bigger dreams. He was not content with merely continuing his father's legacy. He wanted to expand it, to redefine it. Eager to make his mark on the family business, Trump quickly immersed himself in the world of New York City real estate. He spent countless hours learning the intricacies of the industry, from negotiating deals to understanding market trends. His early days were filled with meetings, site visits, and endless networking. Trump was determined to learn everything he could, and his hard work soon began to pay off. He recognized the potential of Manhattan's burgeoning skyline and set his sights on developing luxury residential and commercial properties that would cater to the city's elite. Manhattan, with its iconic skyline and bustling streets, represented the pinnacle of success in the real estate world. Trump saw an opportunity to create something extraordinary, something that would stand out in a city known for its architectural marvels. In 1971, at the age of 25, Trump made a bold move that would launch his career and forever alter the landscape of Manhattan. He decided to take on a project that many considered too risky, a project that would test his skills and determination to the fullest. This project was the old Commodore Hotel, a once grand establishment that had fallen into disrepair. He secured a lease on the old Commodore Hotel, a dilapidated landmark located next to Grand Central Terminal, with the vision of transforming it into a gleaming new hotel. This was no small feat. The hotel was in a prime location, but it was also in dire need of renovation. Trump saw the potential where others saw only decay. He envisioned a luxurious hotel that would attract the city's elite and become a symbol of Manhattan's resurgence. Despite facing skepticism from industry veterans and navigating the city's notoriously complex bureaucracy, Trump persevered. He had to secure financing, negotiate with city officials, and manage a massive renovation project. There were countless obstacles along the way, from financial challenges to regulatory hurdles. But Trump was undeterred. He was determined to see his vision come to life, no matter the cost. The result of Trump's unwavering determination was the Grand Hyatt Hotel, a $200 million project that opened its doors in 1980 to critical acclaim and commercial success. The transformation was nothing short of miraculous. The once dilapidated Commodore Hotel had been reborn as a luxurious modern establishment. The Grand Hyatt quickly became one of Manhattan's premier hotels, attracting guests from around the world and earning Trump widespread recognition. The Grand Hyatt project not only established Trump as a major player in the New York City real estate market, but also showcased his ability to identify undervalued properties, secure financing, and navigate the complexities of large-scale development projects. It was a testament to his vision and tenacity. Trump had taken a significant risk, and it had paid off handsomely. The success of the Grand Hyatt marked the beginning of a new era for the Trump organization. Flush with the success of the Grand Hyatt, Trump embarked on a series of increasingly ambitious projects that would cement his status as a real estate mogul. He was no longer just Fred Trump's son. He was a force to be reckoned with in his own right. The New York City skyline was his canvas, and he was determined to leave his mark on it. Each new project was bigger and bolder than the last, reflecting Trump's growing confidence and ambition. In 1983, he completed Trump Tower, a 58-story skyscraper located on Fifth Avenue in the heart of Manhattan. This was perhaps his most ambitious project yet. Trump Tower was not just a building, it was a statement. With its sleek design and prime location, it quickly became one of the most recognizable landmarks in the city. The tower featured luxury apartments, high-end retail spaces, and Trump's own corporate offices. Trump Tower, with its signature glass facade and opulent apartments, became a symbol of 1980s excess and a testament to Trump's growing wealth and influence. The building was a reflection of Trump's personality, bold, extravagant, and unapologetically ambitious. It attracted celebrities, business magnates, and the social elite, further cementing Trump's status as a real estate icon. The success of Trump Tower was a clear indication that Donald Trump had arrived, and he was here to stay. While Donald Trump's real estate ventures brought him considerable wealth and notoriety, it was his foray into the world of entertainment that would catapult him to a new level of fame and recognition. In 2004, Trump became the executive producer and host of The Apprentice, a reality television show that followed a group of aspiring entrepreneurs competing for a chance to work for the Trump Organization. The Apprentice, with its boardroom drama, high-stakes challenges, and Trump's signature catchphrase, "You're fired," became an instant ratings sensation, captivating audiences across the United States and around the world. The show's success transformed Trump from a successful businessman into a bona fide celebrity, making him a household name and introducing him to a wider audience than ever before. Trump's role on The Apprentice allowed him to cultivate a public persona that emphasized his business acumen, his negotiating skills, and his no-nonsense approach to decision-making. The show's popularity also provided Trump with a platform to promote his brand, his businesses, and his personal views on a wide range of issues. As his celebrity status grew, Trump became a fixture in the media, appearing regularly on talk shows, news programs, and in the pages of gossip magazines. He embraced his larger-than-life persona, often engaging in self-promotion and courting controversy with his outspoken views and flamboyant lifestyle. This carefully crafted public image, while polarizing, would ultimately lay the foundation for his future political ambitions. Section 5. The Political Outsider, a Populist Message. Donald Trump, a name synonymous with both business acumen and reality television, has always had a flair for the dramatic. His entry into the political arena was no different, marked by a series of bold statements and controversial positions that would come to define his populist message. This chapter delves into the evolution of Trump's political identity, his appeal to the disillusioned masses, and the strategies he employed to position himself as the ultimate outsider in a deeply entrenched political system. Donald Trump's interest in politics predated his reality television fame, with early flirtations with presidential runs hinting at a desire for the national stage. Long before The Apprentice made him a household name, Trump was already making waves in the political world. In the late 1980s and early 1990s, he began to publicly express his political ambitions, often hinting at a potential run for the highest office in the land. These early forays were marked by a series of high-profile interviews and public appearances where he discussed his views on various political issues. His early flirtations with presidential runs were not just idle talk, they were a clear indication of his desire for the national stage. Trump often used these opportunities to test the waters, gauging public reaction to his ideas and building a base of support among those who were disillusioned with the political establishment. His ability to capture media attention and generate headlines was unparalleled, and he quickly became a fixture in the political landscape. He often expressed his opinions on political issues, becoming known for his sharp criticisms of politicians. Whether it was through interviews, op-eds, or public speeches, Trump never shied away from voicing his thoughts on the state of the nation. His critiques were often scathing, targeting both Democrats and Republicans alike. He lambasted politicians for their perceived incompetence and corruption, positioning himself as a truth-teller in a sea of deceit. His sharp criticisms of politicians, particularly those he perceived as weak or ineffective, resonated with a segment of the population that felt ignored and betrayed by the political elite. Trump's rhetoric was a breath of fresh air for many who were tired of the same old political platitudes. He spoke in a language that was direct and unfiltered, appealing to those who felt that their voices were not being heard, particularly those he perceived as weak or ineffective. His no-holds-barred approach to political discourse set him apart from the more measured and cautious politicians of the time. Trump was not afraid to call out what he saw as failures in leadership, and his willingness to speak his mind earned him both admirers and detractors. His critiques were not just limited to individuals. He also took aim at the broader political system, which he saw as fundamentally flawed. His views, often considered conservative, resonated with a segment of the population disillusioned with the political establishment. Trump's message of change and reform struck a chord with many who felt left behind by the rapid pace of globalization and technological advancement. He tapped into a deep well of frustration and anger, channeling it into a powerful political movement that would eventually propel him to the presidency. Resonated with a segment of the population disillusioned with the political establishment. These were people who felt that their concerns were being ignored by the political elite, and they saw in Trump a champion who would fight for their interests. His ability to connect with these voters on an emotional level was one of the key factors behind his political success. He spoke to their fears and anxieties, offering them a vision of a better future. Trump's political leanings were difficult to categorize, shifting over time and defying easy labels. He was a political chameleon, adapting his positions to suit the changing political landscape. This fluidity allowed him to appeal to a broad range of voters, from disaffected Democrats to disillusioned Republicans. His ability to navigate the complex world of politics with ease was a testament to his strategic acumen and his understanding of the American electorate, shifting over time and defying easy labels. Trump's political journey was marked by a series of transformations, each one reflecting the changing dynamics of American politics. He was not bound by ideological purity. Instead, he was driven by a pragmatic approach to politics that prioritized results over rigid adherence to a particular set of beliefs. This flexibility allowed him to build a diverse coalition of supporters who were united by their desire for change. He initially identified as a Democrat, later switching to the Reform Party, and finally aligning himself with the Republican Party. This journey through the political spectrum was indicative of his willingness to adapt and evolve in response to the changing political landscape. Each shift was a calculated move, designed to position himself in the best possible light and maximize his chances of success. His ability to navigate these transitions with ease was a testament to his political savvy, later switching to the Reform Party and finally aligning himself with the Republican Party. This journey through the political spectrum was indicative of his willingness to adapt and evolve in response to the changing political landscape. Each shift was a calculated move, designed to position himself in the best possible light and maximize his chances of success. His ability to navigate these transitions with ease was a testament to his political savvy. And finally, aligning himself with the Republican Party. This final shift was perhaps the most significant, as it marked his full embrace of the conservative movement and set the stage for his eventual run for the presidency. By aligning himself with the Republican Party, Trump was able to tap into a powerful network of supporters and resources that would prove crucial in his quest for the White House. His positions on issues like abortion and healthcare evolved, suggesting a pragmatism driven by personal conviction rather than strict ideological adherence. Trump's views on these issues were not static. They changed over time in response to the shifting political landscape and the needs of his supporters. This flexibility allowed him to appeal to a broad range of voters, from social conservatives to libertarians, suggesting a pragmatism driven by personal conviction rather than strict ideological adherence. Trump's approach to politics was characterized by a willingness to adapt and evolve in response to the changing political landscape. He was not bound by rigid ideological constraints. Instead, he was driven by a desire to achieve tangible results. This pragmatism allowed him to build a diverse coalition of supporters who were united by their desire for change. This fluidity, while criticized by some as a lack of conviction, resonated with voters who appreciated his willingness to break with party orthodoxy. Trump's ability to defy conventional political wisdom and chart his own course was one of the key factors behind his political success. He was not afraid to challenge the status quo and take bold positions on controversial issues. This willingness to break with tradition endeared him to a segment of the electorate that was tired of the same old political rhetoric, resonated with voters who appreciated his willingness to break with party orthodoxy. Trump's ability to defy conventional political wisdom and chart his own course was one of the key factors behind his political success. He was not afraid to challenge the status quo and take bold positions on controversial issues. This willingness to break with tradition endeared him to a segment of the electorate that was tired of the same old political rhetoric. His outsider status, far from being a liability, became a key asset in a political landscape increasingly characterized by partisan gridlock and public distrust of career politicians. Trump's lack of political experience was seen as a strength rather than a weakness, as it allowed him to position himself as a true outsider who was not beholden to the special interests and entrenched power structures that dominated Washington. Became a key asset in a political landscape increasingly characterized by partisan gridlock and public distrust of career politicians. Trump's lack of political experience was seen as a strength rather than a weakness, as it allowed him to position himself as a true outsider who was not beholden to the special interests and entrenched power structures that dominated Washington. Trump capitalized on this sentiment, positioning himself as the anti-establishment candidate, the voice of the common man, and a Washington outsider who would drain the swamp of corruption. His campaign was built on a promise to shake up the political system and bring about real change. This message resonated with a broad swath of the electorate, from blue-collar workers to small business owners who felt that the political elite had failed them. Positioning himself as the anti-establishment candidate, the voice of the common man, and a Washington outsider who would drain the swamp of corruption. His campaign was built on a promise to shake up the political system and bring about real change. This message resonated with a broad swath of the electorate, from blue-collar workers to small business owners, who felt that the political elite had failed them. The voice of the common man and a Washington outsider who would drain the swamp of corruption. His campaign was built on a promise to shake up the political system and bring about real change. This message resonated with a broad swathe of the electorate, from blue-collar workers to small business owners who felt that the political elite had failed them, and a Washington outsider who would drain the swamp of corruption. His campaign was built on a promise to shake up the political system and bring about real change. This message resonated with a broad swath of the electorate, from blue-collar workers to small business owners who felt that the political elite had failed them. His campaign rhetoric, often delivered in a blunt, off-the-cuff manner, resonated with a segment of the electorate who felt ignored by the political elite. Trump's ability to speak directly to the concerns of ordinary Americans without the filter of political correctness was one of the key factors behind his political success. He was able to tap into a deep well of frustration and anger, channeling it into a powerful political movement that would eventually propel him to the presidency, resonated with a segment of the electorate who felt ignored by the political elite. Trump's ability to speak directly to the concerns of ordinary Americans without the filter of political correctness was one of the key factors behind his political success. He was able to tap into a deep well of frustration and anger, channeling it into a powerful political movement that would eventually propel him to the presidency. Trump tapped into a vein of economic anxiety and cultural resentment, promising to bring back jobs, renegotiate trade deals, and restore America to its former glory. His message of economic nationalism resonated with many who felt that they had been left behind by the forces of globalization and technological change. He promised to put America first, and his supporters believed that he would deliver on that promise, promising to bring back jobs, renegotiate trade deals, and restore America to its former glory. His message of economic nationalism resonated with many who felt that they had been left behind by the forces of globalization and technological change. He promised to put America first, and his supporters believed that he would deliver on that promise and restore America to its former glory. His message of economic nationalism resonated with many who felt that they had been left behind by the forces of globalization and technological change. He promised to put America first, and his supporters believed that he would deliver on that promise. His message, though light on policy specifics, resonated with a base of supporters who saw in him a successful businessman and a straight-talker who would shake up the status quo. Trump's ability to connect with voters on an emotional level was one of the key factors behind his political success. He spoke to their fears and anxieties, offering them a vision of a better future, resonated with a base of supporters who saw in him a successful businessman and a straight-talker who would shake up the status quo. Trump's ability to connect with voters on an emotional level was one of the key factors behind his political success. He spoke to their fears and anxieties, offering them a vision of a better future, and a straight-talker who would shake up the status quo. Trump's ability to connect with voters on an emotional level was one of the key factors behind his political success. He spoke to their fears and anxieties, offering them a vision of a better future. Section 6. Campaign Promises and the Forgotten Man. At the heart of Donald Trump's successful 2016 presidential campaign was a simple yet potent message: "Make America Great Again." The slogan, emblazoned on red baseball caps and chanted at rallies across the country, encapsulated a deep-seated yearning among a segment of the American electorate for a return to a perceived era of prosperity, strength, and national pride. It was a call to action, a promise to restore what many felt had been lost over the years due to economic shifts, political decisions, and cultural changes. This slogan, emblazoned on red baseball caps and chanted at rallies across the country, encapsulated a deep-seated yearning among a segment of the American electorate for a return to a perceived era of prosperity, strength, and national pride. The phrase, "Make America Great Again," was more than just a campaign slogan. It was a rallying cry for those who felt marginalized and forgotten. It spoke to a longing for a time when they believed America was at its peak, economically and culturally. This sentiment was particularly strong among older voters who remembered the post-World War II boom, a time when American manufacturing was at its height and the middle class was thriving. Trump, the outsider candidate, tapped into this sentiment masterfully, promising to restore America to its former glory by putting America first in all policy decisions. His message was clear: the interests of American citizens would take precedence over those of foreign nations and global corporations. This resonated with many who felt that previous administrations had prioritized international interests over domestic well-being. Trump's rhetoric was filled with promises to renegotiate trade deals, bring back manufacturing jobs, and reduce immigration, all aimed at protecting American workers and industries. Trump's campaign promises were bold, often controversial, and light on specific policy details. He spoke in broad strokes, painting a picture of a revitalized America without delving into the minutiae of how these changes would be implemented. This approach appealed to many voters who were tired of the political establishment's complex and often convoluted policy discussions. They wanted straightforward solutions to their problems, and Trump provided that in his speeches and rallies. He pledged to renegotiate or withdraw from trade deals he deemed unfair to American workers. This included agreements like NAFTA, which he argued had led to the outsourcing of American jobs to countries with cheaper labor. By promising to bring these jobs back, Trump tapped into the economic anxieties of many working-class Americans who had seen their livelihoods disappear as factories closed and industries moved overseas. Build a wall on the US-Mexico border to curb illegal immigration. This promise became one of the most iconic and controversial aspects of his campaign. The wall was not just a physical barrier, it symbolized a commitment to national security and sovereignty. For many of his supporters, it represented a stand against what they saw as unchecked immigration that threatened their jobs, safety, and cultural identity. And repeal and replace the Affordable Care Act, President Obama's signature healthcare law. This promise appealed to those who felt that the ACA, also known as Obamacare, had increased their healthcare costs and limited their choices. Trump vowed to create a new system that would be more affordable and provide better coverage, though specifics were often lacking. He promised to rebuild the American military, defeat ISIS, and bring back jobs to the industrial heartland. These promises were aimed at restoring America's global standing and ensuring national security. By focusing on military strength and job creation, Trump appealed to both patriotic sentiments and economic concerns, and bring back jobs to the industrial heartland. This was a key part of his message to voters in states like Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania, where the decline of manufacturing had hit hard. Trump promised to revive these industries and bring prosperity back to these regions. Central to Trump's appeal was his focus on the forgotten man, a term he used to describe Americans who felt left behind by globalization, ignored by the political establishment, and frustrated by the perceived decline of the American dream. These were the people who had seen their jobs disappear, their communities decline, and their voices go unheard in Washington. Trump positioned himself as their champion, someone who understood their struggles and would fight for their interests. He promised to be their champion, to fight for their interests, and to give them a voice in Washington. This message resonated deeply with many voters who felt that the political system was rigged against them. They saw Trump as a disruptor, someone who would shake up the status quo and bring about real change. His message resonated particularly strongly in Rust Belt states hit hard by manufacturing job losses, where many voters felt that their concerns had been ignored by both Democrats and Republicans. These states, which had traditionally been Democratic strongholds, became key battlegrounds in the election. Trump's focus on job creation and economic revitalization struck a chord with voters who had seen their communities suffer from deindustrialization. Trump's campaign rallies were unlike anything seen in modern American politics. They were raucous affairs, filled with fervent supporters drawn to his message of economic nationalism, cultural conservatism, and his promise to make America great again. These rallies were not just political events, they were spectacles, with Trump as the central figure, delivering impassioned speeches and engaging directly with his audience. They were raucous affairs, filled with fervent supporters drawn to his message of economic nationalism, cultural conservatism, and his promise to make America great again. The energy at these rallies was palpable, with supporters chanting, cheering, and waving signs. For many attendees, these events were a chance to express their frustrations and hopes, to feel part of a movement that promised to bring about real change. His rallies became a platform for him to rail against the media, attack his opponents, and connect with his base on an emotional level, often tapping into their fears and frustrations. Trump used these events to bypass traditional media channels and speak directly to his supporters, reinforcing his message and solidifying their loyalty. The rallies were a key part of his strategy, helping to build a sense of community and shared purpose among his followers. Section 7, the electoral map and a nation divided. The 2016 U.S. presidential election will be remembered as one of the most divisive and unpredictable in American history. The election cycle was marked by intense debates, unprecedented media coverage, and a level of public engagement that had not been seen in decades. From the primaries to the general election, the nation watched with bated breath as candidates from both major parties vied for the highest office in the land. Donald Trump, the unconventional Republican nominee, defied polls and pundits alike by securing a surprise victory over Democratic nominee Hillary Clinton. His campaign, characterized by its unorthodox strategies and controversial rhetoric, managed to galvanize a significant portion of the electorate. Clinton, who was widely expected to win, had to concede in a moment that stunned not just her supporters, but the entire world. While Clinton won the popular vote by a significant margin, Trump's Electoral College win exposed a deep chasm in American society, highlighting the stark political and cultural divisions that had been simmering for decades. The electoral map painted a picture of a nation split between urban and rural areas, between the coast and the heartland, and between different socio-economic groups. Trump's victory was fueled by a confluence of factors, including economic anxiety, cultural resentment, and a yearning for change among a segment of the electorate. Many voters felt left behind by the rapid changes brought about by globalization and technological advancements. They saw in Trump a candidate who promised to bring back jobs, restore American manufacturing, and put America first. His message resonated particularly strongly in key swing states like Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, former manufacturing hubs hit hard by globalization and job losses, where he narrowly edged out Clinton. These states, often referred to as the Rust Belt, had seen a decline in manufacturing jobs over the past few decades, leading to economic hardship for many of their residents. Trump's promise to revitalize these areas struck a chord with voters who felt neglected by previous administrations. Trump's victory exposed the limitations of traditional polling and the disconnect between coastal elites and working-class voters in the heartland. The polls had largely predicted a Clinton victory, failing to capture the depth of support for Trump in key battleground states. This disconnect highlighted the growing divide between different parts of the country, with many working-class voters feeling that their concerns were not being addressed by the political establishment. His win also revealed the effectiveness of his populist message, his mastery of social media, and his ability to tap into a deep vein of anger and frustration among voters who felt ignored by the political establishment. Trump's use of platforms like Twitter allowed him to communicate directly with the public, bypassing traditional media channels and shaping the narrative in his favor. His rallies, often marked by fiery speeches and enthusiastic crowds, further energized his base. The 2016 election results revealed a nation deeply divided along political, cultural, and geographical lines. The electoral map showed a clear split between red and blue states, with urban areas largely supporting Clinton and rural areas backing Trump. This division was not just political, but also cultural, with differing views on issues such as immigration, trade, and social values. Trump's victory was celebrated by his supporters as a repudiation of the status quo and a victory for the forgotten man. Many of his supporters felt that they had been overlooked by the political elite and saw Trump's win as a chance to bring about real change. The slogan, "Make America Great Again," resonated with those who longed for a return to what they saw as better times. His opponents, on the other hand, were shocked and dismayed, viewing his presidency as a threat to American democracy and its core values. Protests erupted across the country, with many fearing that Trump's policies would undermine civil rights, environmental protections, and international alliances. The election highlighted the deep divisions within the country and set the stage for a contentious and polarized political climate in the years to come. The media played a significant role in the 2016 election, with round-the-clock coverage and analysis of every twist and turn. Pundits and analysts debated the implications of Trump's candidacy, often underestimating his appeal to a broad swath of the electorate. The election also raised questions about the role of media in shaping public opinion and the impact of misinformation and fake news on the democratic process. Social media emerged as a powerful tool in the 2016 election, with platforms like Facebook and Twitter becoming battlegrounds for political discourse. Viral memes, hashtags, and online debates played a crucial role in shaping public perception and mobilizing voters. The election underscored the growing influence of digital media in politics and the challenges of regulating online content. Voter turnout in the 2016 election was notably high, reflecting the intense interest and engagement of the American public. Diverse voter demographics, including young voters, minorities, and first-time voters, played a significant role in the election outcome. The high turnout also highlighted the importance of voter mobilization efforts and the impact of grassroots campaigns. The 2016 campaign season was marked by a series of high-profile rallies, political advertisements, and candidate debates. These events provided a platform for the candidates to present their visions for the country and engage with voters. The debates, in particular, were closely watched and often contentious, reflecting the polarized nature of the election. The 2016 election will be studied for years to come, not only for its unprecedented nature, but also for its impact on the future of American politics. Comparisons to past presidential campaigns highlight the unique challenges and opportunities of the 2016 race. Election memorabilia, from campaign buttons to posters, serve as reminders of a historic and transformative moment in American history. As the nation moves forward, the lessons of the 2016 election will continue to shape political strategies and voter behavior. Political commentators and analysts will dissect the election's outcomes, offering insights and predictions for future races. The election's legacy will be felt in the years to come, influencing how candidates campaign, how voters engage, and how the nation navigates its political landscape. Ultimately, the 2016 election underscored the importance of understanding and addressing the diverse perspectives and needs of the American people. It highlighted the challenges of bridging divides and finding common ground in a nation marked by both unity and division. As the country continues to evolve, the lessons of 2016 will serve as a reminder of the power of democracy and the ongoing quest for a more inclusive and representative political system. Section 8. Inauguration Day and the Dawn of Trumpism. On January 20, 2017, Donald J. Trump stood before a crowd of supporters in Washington, D.C. and took the oath of office as the 45th President of the United States. The atmosphere was charged with anticipation and a sense of historic change. The National Mall was filled with people who had traveled from all corners of the country to witness this momentous occasion. The air was crisp, and the sky was a muted grey, reflecting the uncertainty and hope that many felt about the future. The peaceful transition of power, a hallmark of American democracy, marked the beginning of a new and uncertain chapter in the nation's history. This tradition, which has been upheld for over 2 centuries, symbolizes the resilience and stability of the American political system. Despite the contentious and often divisive nature of the 2016 election, the transfer of power proceeded with the dignity and decorum that the world has come to expect from the United States. Trump's inauguration speech, delivered under a cloudy sky, set the tone for his presidency, outlining his vision for America and his commitment to putting America first in all policy decisions. His words were a stark departure from the more traditional and conciliatory tones of his predecessors. Instead, Trump spoke directly to the frustrations and aspirations of his supporters, promising to prioritize their needs and concerns above all else. Trump's speech was both a rejection of the past and a promise for the future. He criticized the political establishment and the policies of previous administrations, which he claimed had failed the American people. His rhetoric was bold and unapologetic, reflecting his outsider status and his determination to shake up the status quo. He railed against the carnage he claimed was afflicting America, citing job losses, crime, and a sense of national decline. He painted a bleak picture of the state of the nation, but also offered a message of hope and renewal. He promised to reverse these trends and restore America's greatness, a theme that would become a central pillar of his presidency. He pledged to return power to the American people, whom he hailed as the true rulers of this country. This populist message resonated deeply with his supporters, many of whom felt disenfranchised and ignored by the political elite. Trump positioned himself as a champion of the common man, vowing to fight for their interests and give them a voice in the corridors of power. He promised to bring back jobs, rebuild the military, and restore America's standing in the world. These promises were central to his campaign and would become key priorities of his administration. Trump argued that previous trade deals and foreign policies had weakened the country, and he vowed to renegotiate these agreements to benefit American workers and businesses. Trump's inauguration marked the dawn of Trumpism, a political movement defined by its populist rhetoric, its nationalist sentiment, and its rejection of traditional political norms. This movement was characterized by a deep skepticism of the political establishment and a belief in the need for radical change. Trumpism appealed to a broad coalition of voters, including working-class Americans, rural residents, and those disillusioned with the status quo. Trump's supporters, many of whom felt left behind by globalization and ignored by the political establishment, saw in him a champion for their values and a disruptor of a system they believed was rigged against them. They were drawn to his unfiltered style and his willingness to take on powerful interests. For these supporters, Trump's election represented a reclamation of their voice and their place in the national conversation. Trump's presidency, from its very first day, was marked by controversy, division, and a constant stream of headlines. His unconventional approach to governance and his combative style often put him at odds with the media, the political establishment, and even members of his own party. This constant state of conflict and drama became a defining feature of his time in office. His unconventional style, his use of Twitter to communicate directly with the public, and his willingness to challenge long-held norms kept the nation on edge, while his policies, from immigration to healthcare to foreign policy, sparked fierce debate and ignited protests across the country. Trump's use of social media allowed him to bypass traditional channels of communication and speak directly to his supporters, often with provocative and controversial statements. This direct line to the public was both a strength and a source of constant controversy, as his tweets often sparked outrage and debate. His presidency was a period of intense polarization, with passionate supporters and equally passionate detractors. The impact of Trumpism on American politics and society would be felt long after his time in office, as the nation grappled with the changes and challenges of this new era.